Regular council meeting of September 14, 2020. Mr. Christian, would you please call the roll?
Dr. Campbell. Here. Mr. Sensi.
Here.
Mr. Council Magno.
Here.
Ms. Gibbons.
Here.
Mr. Hannon.
Present.
Mr. Harrison.
Present.
Mr. McLean.
Here.
Mr. Mowry.
Here.
Mr. O'Brien.
Present. All 9 members present. Can we at this time stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Okay, at this time, I would like to turn to chair announcements. Tonight, September 14th, 2020, before we came to the floor, we had an executive session of council for legal issues. So at this time, I would like to turn to the library director's report. How will we turn to the police chief's report in Chief O'Connor?
Mr. Mayor, Council, hi everybody, Chief here. Find out that on October the 5th, which is a Monday, the Bethel Park schools will be going back. So you know what that means? No passing of school buses. Because if you pass a school bus, you're going to meet this guy named the Big V. V is in Victor. That's Officer Volshko, and he's going to ticket you. And then you're going to have to go to court. You get points on your license, and it's expensive. So don't do that. And while you're driving around, there's also other schools that are open now. So everybody drive carefully. Don't pass the school buses, and we're going to have a safe start to the school year. Again, we're not having any Crime Watch meetings, but our Crime Watch email goes out, and it has a lot of facts in it. So if you don't receive the Crime Watch email and you want to, contact us at the police offices, and we will get you added to the list. And then you can also follow us on Facebook. We've posted some interesting people we have arrested lately, and you can go and look at their booking photos. You're not allowed to say mug shots anymore because that's inappropriate to muggers. Questions?
Any comments from council?
Excellent.
Hearing none, thank you very much. Chief, can we turn to the municipal manager's report?
Members of council, Mayor Allen, and those out there in the TV audience, thank you so much. Appreciate your time. Now I get to do what I really like to do, which is introduce new members of the municipal team. If I could please have Jeff Winkle and Alex Maloney come on up here real quick. I'm going to go ahead and give our perfunctionary 6 feet of space in between. So I'll start here with Alex. Alex is the municipal environmentalist. So like I told council just a little while ago, we were able to steal her away and bring her on board a little over a month ago now. So Alex comes with us from a good bit of experience and a lot of passion for the environment. So we have made her all things storm water. She's taking on a lot of new areas of expertise. She's going to be our chief in charge of everything recycling and waste, and so we're going to have one-stop shopping for all these new projects. So if you see Alex out and about in Bethel Park, walking storm lines and such, please feel free to say hi to her. She's very approachable, and she's really passionate about what she does. You were I tell you what, why don't you tell you a little about yourself?
Sure. My name is Alexandria Maloney. I go by Alex. I'm originally from the North Hills, from Hampton. I went to Penn State. And a little bit about myself, a fun fact that Lawrence had mentioned that I think about is that I have broken 4 bones in my lifetime in my body, and I want to thank Lawrence for the great introduction, and my time at Bethel Park so far has been wonderful. Everyone's been so accommodating, and I'm very excited to take on the role.
And now we get to go move over here to a gentleman who brings a wealth of experience to the municipality, Jeff Winkle. We were able to take him from one of the municipalities in the North Hills, which will remain nameless, but we were able to bring him down here to Bethel Park. And again, what Jeff brings to the table is just, again, a great deal of experience, calm, cool, collective. He's able to bring that depth and knowledge to us, and we truly appreciate it. Jeff has a variety of nicknames. He goes by Jeff, Wink, so a lot of different things. So if you see him around Bethel Park, he deals with a lot of our developers and planning commission. Please feel free to come up and say hi to him. But again, this is what I enjoy doing, is introducing a lot of our great members of the team. As we set the conditions, we set the team up for the future. We're super proud, and so we're happy each one of you coming on board. Do a little introduction of yourself.
Thank you, Lawrence. Now you can see my face. Maybe you put the mask back on, you might ask. But I've spent a number of years working in municipal government, try to bring that experience here and work with Bethel Park, working on, as the interim municipal planner, I'll be doing revising of the ordinances, drafting new ordinances, help guide us through that. They just recently adopted the comprehensive plan, the blueprint for Bethel Park, and so we'll try to use that as a guiding document for all the other good things that come after that to continue to make this a greater community. It already is a great community. That's enhanced it some. I got a wife and 3 kids, a dog named Baxter, a cat named Bug. Some interesting fact about me, I've been a licensed Pennsylvania sewage enforcement officer for the last 27 years, and so a lot of jokes go around about that.
Thank you so much. Thank you both. Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Okay, at this time, can we turn to the mayor's report and Mayor Allen?
Thank you, Mr. President. I have a few items this evening. The first one is to let everyone know that the Bethel Park Farmers Market has been extended until October 13th. So we have an extra couple weeks on that to get your fresh fruits and vegetables and pumpkins if you can find them. We're still planning our fall cleanup, and that'll be held October 17th. If you or a group that you're involved with are interested, please call Janet Davin at 412-831-6800, extension 211. We're also having our second Halloween decorating contest. The judging will be October 23rd through November 1st, and we're really relying on residents to nominate houses that are in their area. We do have judges, and we will, if you can help judge, that would be great also. But keep that in mind. Last year obviously was the first year, very successful, and we just need to do some good things to keep it going. So that'll be judging October 23rd to November 1st. Okay, and speaking for the library, September is Love Your Library Month, so please show support for the library by making a donation. And as part of this effort, Bethel Park Library will receive a prorated portion of a $200,000 match pool from the Jack Buncher Foundation, up to $500 during the month of September. And finally, I just wanted to say that we're 6 months into the COVID-19 pandemic. We as a community have worked very well together, and we've responded well, but we need to continue to go forward until the pandemic's over. Unfortunately, we're in the perfect storm right now. We have social unrest, presidential election, and COVID-19. So we need to respect everyone's opinions and their beliefs. We may not agree with what they believe in, but they're entitled to their opinion, and that includes wearing masks. The state mandates that masks have to be worn in all indoor establishments, so please adhere to the mandate. The people working in the stores or the store owners did not make the mandate. They just have to follow it. So when you're in an establishment, please don't take it out on the people that work there. They had nothing to do with this. These are trying times, but we will get through it. So let's be positive, be as positive as we can. So thank you, and that's my report.
Thank you very much, Mayor. At this time, can we turn to the approval of the minutes and Mr. Hannan?
I move that we approve the minutes of the August 10th, 2020 regular council meeting.
There's a motion and a second that we approve the minutes from the August 10th, 2020 regular council meeting. Any discussion of this item? Mr. Christian, would you please call the roll?
Dr. Campbell.
Yes.
Mr. Sensi.
Yes.
Mr. Council Magno.
Yes.
Ms. Gibbons.
Yes.
Mr. Hannan.
Yes.
Mr. Harrison.
Yes.
Mr. McLean.
Yes.
Mr. Mowry.
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien.
Yes.
Motion passes 9-0. At this time, I'd like to turn to the approval of the bills and payrolls and Mr. Hannan.
I move that we approve the bills and payrolls for municipality per bill list number 091420 in the amount of $2,417,162.93.
There's a motion by Mr. Hannan and second by Ms. Gibbons that we approve the bills and payrolls for the municipality per bill list number 091420 in the amount of $2,417,162.93. Any discussion of this item? Mr. Christian, would you please call the roll?
Dr. Campbell.
Yes.
Mr. Sensi.
Yes.
Mr. Council Magno.
Yes.
Ms. Gibbons.
Yes.
Mr. Hannan.
Yes.
Mr. Harrison.
Yes.
Mr. McLean.
Yes.
Mr. Mowry.
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien.
Yes.
Motion passes 9-0. At this time, I'd like to turn to the resident comment section for non-agenda items. Seeing none, can we turn to general policy and finance and Mr. McLean?
20A Coronavirus Aid Fund Grant. I move that we pass Resolution R9-14-20A, authorizing the filing of an application for the Coronavirus Aid Relief Fund Grant.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. McLean and second by Ms. Gibbons that we pass Resolution R9-14-20A, authorizing the filing of an application for the Coronavirus Aid Relief Fund Grant. That is for a $250,000 grant that we are applying for through Allegheny County. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, Mr. Christian, would you please call the roll?
Dr. Campbell.
Yes.
Mr. Sensi.
Yes.
Mr. Council Magno.
Yes.
Ms. Gibbons.
Yes.
Mr. Hannan.
Yes.
Mr. Harrison.
Yes.
Mr. McLean.
Yes.
Mr. Mowry.
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien.
Yes.
Motion passes 9-0. Mr. McLean.
Next item is insurance renewal. I move that council approve the renewal of insurance coverage with Arthur J. Gallagher and Company for the municipality and the municipal authority in the amounts of $117,801 for the municipality and $40,179 for the municipal authority.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. McLean and second by Ms. Gibbons that council approve the renewal of insurance coverage with Arthur J. Gallagher and Company for the municipality and municipal authority in the amount of $117,801 for the municipality, excuse me, and $40,179 for the municipal authority. Is there any discussion of this item? Mr. Christian, would you please call the roll?
Dr. Campbell.
Yes.
Mr. Sensi.
Yes.
Mr. Council Magno.
Yes.
Ms. Gibbons.
Yes.
Mr. Hannan.
Yes.
Mr. Harrison.
Yes.
Mr. McLean.
Yes.
Mr. Mowry.
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien.
Yes.
Motion passes 9-0. Mr. McLean.
Next item is Resolution R9-14-20B, Act 32, Delegates. I move that we approve Resolution R9-14-20B, appointing Lisa LaPaglia and Pam Inglis as delegates to the Southwest District Tax Collection Committee.
Second.
There's a motion by Mr. McLean and second by Ms. Gibbons that we approve Resolution R19-14-20B, appointing Lisa LaPaglia and Pam Inglis as delegates to the Southwest District Tax Collection Committee. Any discussion of this item? Mr. Christian, would you please call the roll?
Dr. Campbell.
Yes.
Mr. Sensi.
Yes.
Mr. Consolmagno.
Yes.
Ms. Gibbons.
Yes.
Mr. Hannon.
Yes.
Mr. Harrison.
Yes.
Mr. McLean.
Yes.
Mr. Mowry.
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien.
Yes.
Motion passes 9-0. Mr. McLean.
There are no other agenda items under General Policy and Finance, Mr. President.
Are there any additional items? Hearing none, can we turn to Health, Safety, and Welfare and Mr. O'Brien?
Thank you, Mr. Mowry. There are no items tonight under Health, Safety, and Welfare. However, I have one.
Mr. O'Brien.
A little bit of an announcement. The good people over at the Bethel Park Elks, it's Bonnie and Russ and his wife and all the other good people, they helped a lot to bring food to many of our residents who were shut in over the course of these last 6 months. They are embarked on another project, or a few projects, that are looking to do some good also. The Elks is collecting much-needed items for those affected by Hurricane Laura. Depending on how much they collect, they're looking to get a truck and send it down to the affected area. The number you can reach on that is 412-831-0616. They are also looking for people to sew face masks. They have the material, they just need people that know how to make the masks so they can also send them to the hurricane victims in Louisiana. Once again, 412-831-0616. And on September 25th, 2020, they're having a prime rib dinner. It's between 5 and 8 p.m. Eat in or take out. It's $25.95 for reservations or takeout. Once again, 412-831-0616. I'd like to thank that organization for, in this difficult time, to look to ways to help, to bring people together. And of course, I hope we can maybe put this flyer that they sent out, Lawrence, attached to our website, so if people can to look what the needs are in the items they're collecting to send to the hurricane victims. So that's
That's already in the process. We're going to put it on social media as well.
okay.
First thing in
Thank
the
you,
morning.
Lawrence. Appreciate that. And that's all I have, Mr. Murray.
Thank you, Mr. O'Brien. Are there any additional items? Hearing none, can we turn to Planning and Zoning and Ms. Gibbons?
Guardian Storage, Milford Drive, partial security reduction. I move that we approve release of partial security bond reduction in the amount recommended by staff and Gateway Engineers.
Second.
There's a motion by Ms. Gibbons and second by Mr. McLean that we release the partial security bond reduction in the amount recommended by staff and Gateway Engineers. This is people progress and complete their projects. Initially, they're required to post a bond, and as they get through the projects, we release money as they hit certain points. So the next couple motions are, they have hit a couple of points. They're not fully refunded and they're not totally complete yet, but we're refunding their money as they hit the marks that have been established. Any other discussion? Hearing none, Mr. Christian, would you please call the roll?
Dr. Campbell.
Yes.
Mr. Sensi.
Yes.
Mr. Consolmagno.
Yes.
Ms. Gibbons.
Yes.
Mr. Hannon.
Yes.
Mr. Harrison.
Yes.
Mr. McLean.
Yes.
Mr. Mowry.
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien.
Yes.
Motion passes 9-0. Ms. Gibbons.
Guardian Storage, Route 88, partial security reduction. I move that we approve release of partial security bond reduction in the amount recommended by staff and Gateway Engineers.
Second.
There's been a motion by Ms. Gibbons and second by Mr. McLean that we approve release of partial security bond reduction in the amount recommended by staff and Gateway Engineers. Any discussion of this item? Mr. Christian, would you please call the roll?
Dr. Campbell,
Yes.
Mr. Sensi,
Yes.
Mr. Consolmagno,
Yes.
Ms. Gibbons,
Yes.
Mr. Hannon,
Yes.
Mr. Harrison,
Yes.
Mr. McLean,
Yes.
Mr. Mowry,
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien.
Yes.
Motion passes 9-0. Ms. Gibbons.
Appreciation letter, Comprehensive Plan Steering Committee members. I move that we send letters extending appreciation for the members' contribution and service to the community.
Second.
There's been a motion by Ms. Gibbons and second by Mr. McLean that we send letters extending appreciation for members' contribution and service to the community. This is the part of the Blueprint Bethel Park, the group that was like the steering committee. They've spent a number of months discussing, debating, seeking community input. I think there was a lot of great information that we received. Much of it is in the Blueprint Bethel Park, but they were energized, and I was very pleased by the response we got from them and as well as the response we got from the community, so I'd like to thank everybody. Any other discussion? Mr. Christian, would you please call the roll?
Dr. Campbell,
Yes.
Mr. Sensi,
Yes.
Mr. Consolmagno,
Yes.
Ms. Gibbons,
Yes.
Mr. Hannon,
Yes.
Mr. Harrison,
Yes.
Mr. McLean,
Yes.
Mr. Mowry,
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien.
Yes.
Motion passes 9-0. Ms. Gibbons.
Dream Greener Lawn and Landscape LLC revised major land development. Application number 2020-0591. I move that we approve the Dream Greener revised major land development application with condition that applicant shall satisfactorily address any remaining staff or engineering comments.
Second.
There's a motion by Ms. Gibbons, second by Mr. McLean, that we approve Dream Greener revised major land development application with condition that the applicant shall satisfactorily address any remaining staff or engineering comments. This is just an update of the plan that was approved by council a few months ago. They made some modifications and needed to go through the process again. Any other discussion? Hearing none, Mr. Christian, would you please call the roll?
Dr. Campbell,
Yes.
Mr. Sensi,
Yes.
Mr. Consolmagno,
Yes.
Ms. Gibbons,
Yes.
Mr. Hannon,
Yes.
Mr. Harrison,
Yes.
Mr. McLean,
Yes.
Mr. Mowry,
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien.
Yes.
Motion passes 9-0. Ms. Gibbons.
Cool Springs subdivision, revision number 2, major subdivision, application number 2020-0588. I move that council approve the Cool Springs subdivision, revision number 2, major subdivision application.
Second.
There's a motion by Ms. Gibbons, second by Mr. McLean, that council approve the Cool Springs subdivision, revision number 2, major subdivision application. Any discussion of this item? Mr. Christian, would you please call the roll?
Dr. Campbell,
Yes.
Mr. Sensi,
Yes.
Mr. Consolmagno,
Yes.
Ms. Gibbons,
Yes.
Mr. Hannon,
Yes.
Mr. Harrison,
Yes.
Mr. McLean,
Yes.
Mr. Mowry,
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien.
Yes.
Motion passes 9-0. Ms. Gibbons.
There are no additional agenda items under planning and zoning.
Thank you, Ms. Gibbons. Are there any additional items? Hearing none, can we turn to Public Works and Maintenance and Mr. Consolmagno?
Yes, you may. Miners Park facility improvements. I move that we award the Miners Park facility improvements to Swede Construction in the amount of $78,500 for the base bid and alternate 3.
Second.
There's been a motion by Mr. Consolmagno and seconded by Mr. McLean and Ms. Gibbons that we award the Miners Park facility improvements to Swede Construction in the amount of $78,500 for the base bid and alternate number 3. Any discussion of this item?
Mr. Murray.
Mr. Consolmagno.
I just wanted to thank the person that is deeply responsible for this, and that would be Pennsylvania State Representative Natalie Mihalik for her working to get a grant for this facility in Miners Park up in Ward 1. It's for the improvements of the refreshment and the bathroom facilities up there. So,
thank you very much, Mr. Consolmagno.
you're welcome.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. O'Brien.
I'd like to, dovetail on what Joe said. it's the real deal. I mean, these types of things, when a state representative digs her heels in and finds these kind of help for a community, goes a long way. Natalie has proven to us that she learned a lot from John Marr, who always brought things home to us in great fashion. And my hat's tipped off to her. And thank you so much for taking the time to walk through this and making sure that everything was done so we could get this grant. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. O'Brien. Is there any other additional comments? Hearing none, Mr. Christian, would you please call the roll?
Dr. Campbell,
Absolutely, yes.
Mr. Sensi,
Yes.
Mr. Council Magno,
Yes.
Ms. Gibbons,
Yes.
Mr. Hannon,
Yes.
Mr. Harrison,
Yes.
Mr. McLean,
Yes.
Mr. Mowry,
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien.
Yes.
Motion passes 9-0. Mr. Consul Magno.
Yes, remote control lighting project at 3 Bethel Parks. I move that we approve the DES approval with the revision per the IT administrator's updated memorandum in the amount of $7,400 with a $120 annual fee.
There's been a motion by Mr. Consul Magno and seconded by Mr. McLean that we approve the DES proposal with the revision per the IT administrator's updated memorandum and the amount of $7,440 with a $120 annual fee. Any discussion of this item? This is just updating the communications to our parks for the, I believe, the lighting. Verizon's changing, requiring us to do this, so we're just updating the communications to those facilities. Mr. Christian, would you please call the roll?
Dr. Campbell,
Yes.
Mr. Sensi,
Yes.
Mr. Council Magno,
Yes.
Ms. Gibbons,
Yes.
Mr. Hannon,
Yes.
Mr. Harrison,
Yes.
Mr. McLean,
Yes.
Mr. Mowry,
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien.
Yes.
Motion passes 9-0. Mr. Consul Magno.
I have no further items, Mr. Maury.
Thank you, Mr. Consul Magno. I have two brief items. Number one, it was posted on social media, the Bethel Green project. If you've noticed that we are now in the process of putting a small parking lot in, we're working with the Allegheny Land Trust on Valley Drive. I think there's going to be 5 or 6 parking spaces, that it's going to be a gravel parking lot, and there will be a sign. If these spaces are full, please come back when they're empty, because the gist of the whole thing is to keep it green. We don't want it overwhelmed with people. We want everybody to be able to take advantage of it. So that construction is going to be done, or being done currently, and hopefully within the next week or so, it will be complete. And I believe they are working on the entrance on Valley and Route 88. They're going to be putting some designation sign of the Allegheny Land Trust Bethel Green, as well as the people that helped get us to this point, or get them to the point with their funding. The last part, we've been talking for the last couple years about the municipal authority. They've embarked on a number of different projects. Most recently, last year, they did a flow monitoring program, trying to identify areas in the system where we can reduce flow. Tied with some of the consent orders we're under and will be getting under sometime early next year. Council is going to be entertaining a potential $30 million bond issue later this month, and the primary reason to do it, it's been, I think, more than 10 years. Our funds that from the last bond issue are gone. This is the next step in the process. About the majority is going to be updating the source plant. There's 2 major projects slated for down there, as well as identifying work that needs to be done in the sewer system. So we're going to be doing that, I believe, in 2 weeks. Because of advertising requirements, we could not do it tonight. The benefit is that, interest rates are at an all-time low right now, and that any of the increases will be phased in over the next 2 to 3 years, so they won't have a big impact on the residential user. It'll be done over the course of 2, possibly 3 years. Is there any other discussion from council? Hearing none, is there a
Move we
motion to adjourn? Mr. Hannan?
Second.
Second by Mr. McLean. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Meeting adjourned, and good night, everyone.